What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another weekly update. And in this video, what I'd like to do is provide you some upcoming events, some earnings, some things to get you prepared for the week ahead. If that sounds like something you're interested in, consider subscribing, as I do provide daily updates as well to get you prepared for the day and the week ahead in this glorious market. So let's dive back up here into SPX. It's been an interesting week, nonetheless. As you can see, we've had some excitement over the past week. A lot of pivoting news, a lot of positive data as of right now, but again, earnings for big tech have not been great. We've barely hit expectations in a lot of different things. Our safe haven came through. It barely beat expectations. And again, understanding where expectations are does help the fact that things are currently where they're sitting. So over the past week, we did have, again, some good data. It's essentially supporting uh, this recovery mode that we're currently kind of sitting at. Also understand that the housing market continues to get pummeled. Tech continues to get pummeled by essentially interest rates. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pull this up real quick so we kind of look and see what's coming up this week. Again, big events this week. We got interest rates this week. So our monetary policy will come out on Wednesday. Understand that we'll get our rates at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then we'll have Powell coming on, essentially reporting or fielding questions after that fact. And then we have non-farms on Friday. So those are our biggest events. We're right dab in the middle of earnings. We did come off one of the biggest earnings weeks. It's not saying that earnings is over. There's still some great earnings this week and next week. But then after that, it kind of tapers off as far as big earnings that I typically watch. There's not to say that there's still earnings going on. But after the big tech week, the Super Bowl of essentially earnings kind of slowly tapers off for the most part. So as far as like big pivotal moves will come out of this past week, and then essentially you get your couple one-offs that do fairly well from that point. So um, remaining upcoming events, again, we got the core CPI on the 10th. So we got that next week, and then we got monetary policy again this Wednesday, and then we got back-to-back core CPI in December on the 13th, and then monetary policy on the 14th of next month. Now, something to keep in mind coming into this month of November and December, the market is normally on a normal cycle is pretty flat. It doesn't do much considering there are a lot of holidays that are going on, considering that there's just not the volume typically there. Now, what does that mean? Typically, that means the market won't move at all, or it could have big moves. Considering over the past couple of months, we've kind of hardly moved because we didn't really know where we were going. Now, a lot of data is positive, but you have to understand that the earnings are showing something different. That things are bad. That the interest rates are wreaking havoc, and that inflation is not going down because of the fact that again, rentals units are flying through the roof. And again, it's the biggest expense people have, and considering that's continuing to increase is alarm for something to be concerned about. Again, everything else is coming down. That's great because people have to put more money into where they live. So that being said, earnings I am watching this week. Again, there's more here. I may be actually missing some, but A&D Airbnb on Tuesday I want to watch. Wednesday I really want to watch QCOM. QCOM is one of my favorite ones to watch because it moves percentage-wise. It moves really well. Roku is a hit or miss for me, but it's always good to kind of have that on there so that it does affect Netflix as well. Thursday, PayPal and Square are ones I'm watching. As far as moves being priced in. SPX is real high again at 117. Again, typically sits around that 65, 70 mark on an average week. So we are looking for a lot of volatility, and rightfully so. We have monetary policy, and Tesla is very high as far as movement. Trying to price in movement in Tesla this week, and again, rightfully so, with monetary policy, as high rates will continue to um, bring volatility into the tech market more so. And then BA9 still very high. Banks, the banks have been on a huge run this week, so kind of really watching the banks. I didn't put in the prices for Aapl or Snow, but I do want to watch these this week, especially because Aapl had that monster move on Friday. I want to look for a continuation that on Monday. And then Snow, I think, is getting ready to break out to the upside as well, even though Google did poorly. I think Snow is getting ready to start rocketing here. If the market continues to head up. So I'm kind of looking for the market for continuation. Now, technical wise, looking at this chart, we did finally break out of this short-term trend line, which is great. It's something we badly needed. It was to break out of here, but we have this bigger overall trend, which we can get just a bit over that 490 mark, almost that 4100 mark again. I think could potentially be in the cards if things play out. Again, this rally I think is could potentially be short-lived. I don't see us going back to all-time highs. I know a lot of people are excited about potential all-time highs. We're not in a place where I think we are that pivotal to where we're going to go back to all-time highs. Again, if you look back at this, again, I think we could hit around that 4,100 mark is where this potential run could go. Again, you have to realize we've had these massive rips and then massive drops on top of it, and leading into holiday season. If things come in line with the expectations, I could see us potentially running up that high. Again, monster move on Friday. I wouldn't be surprised if we had another monster move come next week. And then we start hovering again around that 4,100, and then potentially some news drop us off. It's kind of what I'm looking at. Again, it's just a educated guess and just my feel for the market is what I'm feeling right now. The way things are aligned, monetary policy. If we come in at 75-point basis move, I'm not really sure how much weight that's going to have. I think the market's becoming pretty numb to that. But I think the market's already starting to see the impact it's having on companies, with some of these big techs barely scraping by the skin of their teeth, with massive layoffs that they've had and everything else, and then understanding what's kind of currently going on there. And if they get another 75, the market may be fearful of that things are bad. But how much so is trying to interpret how the market's going to take that. And again, you and I can assume whatever, but it's really, we need the market to get the information and let it digest it. So Thursday morning, we should kind of know where the market sits with whatever basis move comes out. Again, you're getting a fake move initially, and then from that point, the market will move in whatever direction it's going to go. So just be mindful of that. So kind of let that digestion go. So on Wednesday around 3 o'clock, you'll kind of have an idea where the market's headed after that. Roughly, you might need a little bit longer, maybe 3:30, but it's important to know that. So being said, that's kind of what we got on the general index. Things are looking kind of positive, at least in the short term. But again, monetary policy really just depends on how the market takes that. Again, I could see us, if we come in at 75, again, market's kind of used to that. We could go either way. If we come lower, the market could get excited. I know they're talking about at least 275-point basis moves in the last two monetary policies of the year, but we have to see if that's true or not. Again, it does a lot of damage, and you've had a lot of people reaching out to the Fed saying they need to dial it back. Again, the Fed is going after inflation, so right now they don't know about inflation until after they make the decision. So I would assume that they would come in at 75. And then on the 13th next week, we'll be able to see what the core says, and the core really dictates. So if we come in at 75 and then somehow next week we see that inflation is still up in the eights or climbing back up, you can assume that the market's going to start getting panic is going to start setting in again, that we haven't got a grasp of it, and then the market could start really flushing at that point. So just be mindful. This week, you're going to get a lot of volatility, but next week I think will be even more pivotal with what comes out with that core CPI. Again, some of these big numbers, again, that typically weren't having weight or having more weight, as you saw, the jobs report on Friday, the PCE and stuff like that. That's great, but you have to realize that the credit cards are getting maxed out, that the growth rate on credit cards is still extremely high. So that's where your spending is coming from. So just be mindful of that. That stuff is going to catch up. And when it catches up, the market's not going to like the information it's getting. So nonetheless, let's take a look at the dollar real quick here. The dollar is still in a very bullish stance. It could still drop all the way down to, again, like I said, roughly around the 108 mark. It could drop all the way down to the 107 mark and then wick back up and continue up. Again, my higher low is still right here. Not so much this candle. I mean, it's still holding above the body of this 108 mark. But I think we could still drop all the way down close to the 105 and still make a higher low and continue up. So just be mindful of that. The dollar is still extremely, extremely high. So I don't think that this is just the end of it. We have to wait and see. Again, technical wise, you can potentially say that, hey, the dollar, let's actually take a look here and see if this is broken. This hasn't even broken trend yet. So you have to keep that in mind. The dollar has not broken trend. That's at the bottom. This could very well keep going. So again, if that dollar keeps running, it's going to keep destroying a lot of the world economy. And then, we can get away with it for so long before it starts affecting us. Now, Tesla. Tesla is, I do definitely want to keep on watch like I always do. I'm definitely keeping an eye on this 217 mark here. Tesla's been floating around here, especially with what's going on with monetary policy is going to have a big effect on this. So I can say, hey, we can run all the way back up to 300. Or I can say, hey, we're retesting here and we could potentially drop down to the 185 again. Again, I think 185, again, big range here, so just be mindful of that. But I definitely want to keep Tesla on watch, especially if it can hold the 200. The 200 has been a solid support, so really watching that. Might potentially take another move for the upside. Again, monetary policy is really going to dictate that coming into this week. BA, again, it's breaking, it's holding within this little channel here. Again, it's monetary policy is really going to dictate BA since it's one of the leaders in value. So I could see a potential another drop back down to 136. So watching that there. Banks been super, super strong. And they have broken out. Watching this level, the 132. And then watching this level, the 142. For potential this week. Otherwise, if this breaks back down below the 123, you can see us revisiting the 113. Again, these are daily candles, so it would probably take a couple of daily candles to get back down to those marks or go back up to those marks. So just be mindful of that. GS got some more headspace up here to the 353. And then support is at the 329. Break back down below this. You got to be mindful of that. We don't want to start creating a higher low here, which looks like we could potentially be forming some sort of a funnel leading into potentially Wednesday here. Have to see if this plays out. The top candle, we have to let the top or the new daily candle open up. So if it opens up back down below the 141, we could start selling back down. And you could start getting some kind of tunnel effect here. You do have a bit of wedge here. You get a stronger wedge coming in right here. Can we actually hold this or break this is the question. Is this actual break, or are we going to drop back down below the 336 and start selling again? Again, every breakout is essentially wicked back in, so we got to be careful of that. Airbnb is one of the other ones I'm watching this week. It's got earnings. It's been pretty flat. as of late. I really want to kind of see how they're doing. I really do like Airbnb as a value. I prefer to get around the 92, anything under 100, but kind of watching this 123 level, 124 level, see if we can get a break out of that. But really want to watch this. It's been winding pretty tight here. So again, earnings are on Tuesday, so might play this continuation on Wednesday. If we can break out here, you do have resistance here at the 143. And then you have the next resistance essentially be around the 158. It's not saying you're going to make that all in a day. It could be 2 days. Again, this is week. These are weekly candles here, but still big moves here. So kind of watching that. Snow is a big one I'm watching, and I know snow right now doesn't look the greatest. Like technical wise, there's a lot of consolidation here, which I do like. And typically, what I love playing when it comes to I'm in actually some shares on this, and why I like this is because I like this consolidation here, and I think it can really get some big moves here. Again, if it is holding support here, roughly around the 158. I think if we could catch some momentum, at least get up to the 188. And then again, if we're going to start kind of doing some sort of run, potentially up to the 227. Again, I don't see us making all-time highs up to here at the 400. I do like snow overall in the long haul. But I think that level of the 4s is going to be a while before we see that sort of level here anytime soon. So, but that's pretty much what I got for this week. I can pull up Bitcoin here again real quick. There's a lot of consolidation here. It looks like we're actually getting ready to break out here, which is interesting. I do like this, and I just talked about this. You do have this consolidation right here, and this is what I really like to see as this consolidation. Once that consolidation is doing really well, you get a lot of consolidation here, a lot of accumulation here. So it looks like we've got a couple more days, maybe end of year. This thing could potentially break out for Bitcoin. So it could be a good buy. Again, right now, I think DCAing is not a bad idea. I've been doing that myself into coming weeks, but we're getting pretty close to when this could potentially break out. Again, these things haven't been playing out. They look like they want to break out, and then they don't. So just be mindful of that. But that being said, I hope everybody has a great week. Again, manage risk, and I will see you guys on the field.